There we go. Photobomb. Yes.
Oh, we should have so photobombed that.
So we are now in Goerme Open Air Museum. This is also a member of UNESCO. We saw a museum in the morning, but that was a village. We saw their Muslims, mosque, Christians, church, because that was a village daily life. But here, this place is not a village. It was a monastery, only for Greek, Byzantine, Orthodox Christians. And the early Christians came to Cappadocia in the 1st century AD, but also that time, like in Ephesus, most people living here were also pagans. Paganism was the dominant religion. That's the reason early Christians were hiding from the pagans up to the 4th century. In the 4th century, Constantine the Great accepted Christianity in 313. After him, Theodosius II made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. That means they don't have to hide anymore. So they moved from these isolated places, from far villages, from underground cities to city centers. They started having churches in the city centers, and they started to live together in the monastery. So as this is also a monastery, the whole thing is a monastery. It was made after the 4th century. The first caves carved out in the 5th century. From 5th to 13th century, 800 years, they practiced Christianity here. 13th century, this place was abandoned, and it remained empty up to 20th century. In the 20th century, after the population exchange, remember, between the Turks and the Greeks, Turks had to come back, Greeks had to go back. After the Greeks are gone, this is now a place where there's only Muslims living, and Muslims use this as a museum now, and I think that's the best thing to do, because personally I really hate if a church is converted into a mosque or a mosque into a church. In Turkey, to be honest, there are many mosques today which were previously church. But also, if you go to Europe, Balkans, you can see a lot of churches there today which were previously mosques. Both of them happened in the past, but at least today shouldn't happen anymore. So you're not making this a mosque. What else can you do? If you leave this empty, use it for nothing, it is not good. Because if you don't use it, it means it's going to fall in time. Because you will not maintain it.
Right.
With the weather, rain, snow and everything, it will fall down. So you have to use it for something in a respectful way. And I think the most respectful way to use this is to make this a museum. See, like in summertime, these are all roses over there. Remember, the volcanic ash absorbs the water. So if it absorbs the water from snow and rain, it's going to be damp in the church. And that dampness will make the colors fade away, and plaster of the fresco will fall down. So that's why state put plaster to the outer walls so the rain cannot seep through the church. It's not a restoration, it's just to maintain it, to keep inside the church dry, and the colors wouldn't fade away. It will last longer. And in this monastery there are several churches, as well as kitchen, dining rooms, all carved into volcanic ash. And for the church, we have paintings inside. Paintings were made to practice their religion, but also to teach the Bible, because most students were illiterate. That's the reason they couldn't read the Bible. And if you can't read the Bible, how can you learn Christianity? So to be able to teach it, they paint the walls of the churches. Each painting depicts another biblical story. That's why each church is a classroom besides being a church. And for the paintings, we have 3 different styles. The first one is iconoclastic period, which started in 720s, finished in, or 740s, finished in 820s. Nearly 100 years it took. From 8th to 9th century, it was forbidden to paint human figures in the church. In Europe, this time wasn't very strong, but in Anatolia, iconoclastic period was really strong. And because it's easy to get red color from nature here, most of the colors from that time is 90% red colors. No humans figures, but crosses, geometric designs, animal figures, fruit designs were made in the churches. After the prohibition, after the 9th century, they were okay to paint human figures, and they made them colorful. Those are colorful wall paintings from 11th century. We talk about 1,000-year-old paintings here. Besides its importance, or in addition to its importance about Christianity, it should also be considered as a piece of art, because 1,000 years minimum. And the third style is fresco. Fresco, once again, means wet. You make a plaster first and put the plaster on the wall. Before the plaster dries up, they apply the colors on it, and this way it's called fresco. They're also colorful with human figures, but no, the wall paintings has no plaster. Frescoes has a plaster. That's the difference between them. Both are from 11th century. Some more things I need to tell you about Turkey, about Christianity here. In Turkey, we still have Christians. Yes, about 97% is Muslim in Turkey, maybe 98, but we still have Christians. Turkey has 81 cities. We are only in this city now, but in the other 80 cities, we still have Christian community. For example, we have Syriani Christians. Syriani, they are Turkish Christians. You can find them in southeast of Turkey. They speak Aramaic. They go to church 3 times every day. Special occasions they go 7 times. They have fasting too. Their fasting is not like the Muslims. Muslims do not eat from sunrise to sunset. After sunset they eat, and after sunrise they can't eat or drink. But these Syriani Christians eat, but never enough. They always feel hunger. They just eat enough to survive. They say Jesus couldn't eat anything just before his crucifixion. Because of that, they are doing it to share, to feel how he felt that time, his hunger and his pain. They have monasteries there with nuns, with priests, with monks and patriarchs, students all together. It's functioning. They have many churches functioning. In Kayseri, which is city next door, there's an Armenian family. They have a church still open. In Izmir, in Istanbul, there are a lot of Greek communities still living, and they have their churches. Not many, of course, but there are some, and open to visitors as well, and they pray inside too. Here in Cappadocia, there are also many churches, and Christians can easily get permission to use the churches for their daily rituals. And Anatolia is very big for Christianity. I'll just briefly tell that too, then we can start. For example, 2 council places, Nicaea and Smyrna. These were the places. There were early meetings for Christians. They decided for the 4 evangelists. There were more. They reduced the number to 4. The meeting place was in Turkey. Nicaea and Smyrna are the old names. Modern names are Iznik and Izmir. We were in Izmir. In Ephesus, the church was the council place. Then there's a city in the Bible mentioned as Antioch, which is called as Antakya today. The followers of Jesus, they didn't have a name. The name Christianity or Christians was first pronounced in that city, Antioch. So Christians called themselves as Christians for the first time in that city. Then we already saw 7 churches. Those are in Turkey. Other than that, we saw the House of Virgin Mary. This disciple John was in Turkey, in Ephesus. Saint Paul traveled in Anatolia. Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, was born and raised in Turkey. He's very important. He's the protector saint of New York City, Berlin in Germany, Moscow, Russia. Especially for Russians, he's important. There was a war between the Russians and the Ottomans in 1877, 1878. Russians were victorious, and this town on the Mediterranean coast of Turkey belonged to Russia for about 5 or 6 years. Then Ottomans took it back. That's the place where Santa Claus was born and raised. I don't know why they show him on TV today riding the deer on the snow. It's an advertisement.
Commercialized. Yes.
But the area, it never snows over there except on the top of the mountain. In Turkey, I don't know in States, but in Turkey, there's the advertisement. He comes from the chimney with the gifts in his hand. I think it's based on a true story. There were 3 sisters. Their parents were dead and they were poor. The oldest sister wanted to sell herself as a slave. With the money of that, she would save her 2 younger sisters' life. Santa Claus heard about this. He put some gold in a pocket, in a package. He threw the gold from outside of the house through the window into the house without showing himself. He says, the best good is the one you do without showing your face. With that money, that oldest sister saved her life. But next year, 2 sisters were left. They were poor again. The oldest sister got married. So Santa Claus did the same donation from outside into the house. and another sister saved her life. Last year, last sister closed the window, so he couldn't find a place to give the gold. That's why he climbed to the chimney roof and threw the gold down through the chimney.
Oh,
So
very
there's
cool.
a
I didn't know
story like
that.
this. I think that's the reason we see him on TV, like coming from
Coming
the
from
chimney.
the chimney.
So that's based on this story. He's known for his good heart, helping everybody. So he was born and raised in Anatolia as well. And Gregorius, Saint Gregorius, who is the founder of Armenian Church, he lived in Cappadocia as well. And here we have two rules. Unfortunately, in the churches, photos are not allowed. Before, it was okay to take photo in the church without using flash, but as the church is small and a bit dark, flash automatically worked, and there is average 3,500 people, 3,500 people visiting every day. In the busy season, it's 7,000 people. So it really fades the colors because churches are not big, small. Flash affects it, so they said no photos. But outside, kitchen, dining room, no problems. You can take photos. Secondly, because churches are small, in the past we had a rule like this. We are a group of 3. We will go on the church. I will have 3 minutes to explain you the paintings. But there will be a long queue outside because other groups will wait till we go out. Then another group will go on. Imagine you have 6 groups in front of you, a lot of line, plus some groups are large. When they stayed in the church for 3 minutes, because of their breath, it really makes it damp inside, so it's not good for the painting. So we changed the rule, please do not breathe in the church. Just for the paintings. So what we do now is, there's
Go and hold your breath.
there's no 3-minute rule anymore. Tour guides, instead of explaining the painting in the church, will do the explanations outside. There are many churches here. I'll go with you. I'll explain each church outside the church instead of inside the church. There were more or less 220, 250 people in the monastery. This was the nunnery. Nuns were there, and the gentlemen were behind here. And over this side, we'll see the kitchens, dining rooms, food storages, and of course, churches here.
Wow.
Yep. Shall we begin?
Yep.